Welcome to Updates at Noon with me, Renee Fong. A Pakistani plane with nearly 100 people on board crashed into a residential area in the southern city of Karachi yesterday, with the government minister reporting 2 survivors pulled from the wreckage. The Pakistan International Airlines PIA plane was close to landing when it came down among houses, sparking an explosion and killing several people on the ground. Plumes of smoke were sent into the air as rescue workers and residents searched the debris for survivors, and firefighters tried to extinguish the flames. Sarfraz Ahmed, a firefighter at the crash site, told AFP the nose of the Airbus A320 and the fuselage had been heavily damaged by the impact, adding that rescuers had pulled 4 bodies from the wrecked aircraft, including some who were still wearing seatbelts. Residents near the scene said their walls shook before a big explosion erupted as the aircraft slammed into their neighborhood. PIA spokesman Abdullah Hafiz said there were 91 passengers and 7 crew on board the flight, which lost contact with air traffic control just after 2:30 p.m. local time. However, an aviation authority spokesperson said the number of crew on board was 8. The plane had developed a technical fault. Interior Minister Ijaz Ahmad Shah said, adding that the pilot issued a mayday call after the aircraft lost an engine. All events scheduled to be held in conjunction with the official birthday of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah next month have been postponed to another date that will be confirmed soon. Istana Negara's comptroller of the royal household, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, in a statement, the postponement was made based on the order of the king, in line with the enforcement of the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO until 9th June to curb the spread of COVID-19. He said all the events scheduled to be held between the 3rd and 11th of June have been postponed in the interest of public safety and health as the country is still battling the COVID-19 threat. Dato' Ahmad Fadil added, as announced by Chief Secretary to the government, Datuk Sri Zuki Ali, on 4th March, the official birthday of His Majesty this year is on Monday, 8th June, and it has been declared as a public holiday. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has begun 14 days of self-quarantine since yesterday after an attendee of a post-cabinet meeting on Wednesday tested positive for COVID-19. The Prime Minister's office PMO in a statement said the Premier was screened and later tested negative for the virus. An observation order for COVID-19 contacts under Section 15, Subsection 1 of Act 342, Tan Sri Muhyiddin has to undergo quarantine at home for a period of 14 days. All those present during the meeting have also been ordered to undergo preliminary testing and to self-quarantine at home for 14 days beginning yesterday. The statement also noted that every meeting conducted within the PMO practiced social distancing and strict healthcare steps at all times. Health Director General Dato' Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah has urged Malaysians who celebrate Hari Raya Aidil Fitri to adhere to the standard operating procedures set by the government. He also urges everyone to practice good hygiene as well as healthy and balanced diet during the festive season.
Proses penyediaan makanan perlulah diberi perhatian, terutamanya dari segi cara pemasakan yang betul dan selamat. Penyediaan makanan yang selamat turut mencegah keracunan makanan. Sepanjang bulan Syawal tahun 2019, Kementerian Kesihatan telah menerima laporan 53 episod keracunan makanan melibatkan 1,995 kes.
Dato' Dr. Nur Hisham also reminded everyone to comply to the SOPs, including keeping social distance, washing hands and not visiting each other or graves. He also urged Malaysians not to travel outside of their respective states. Citing the Kuala Krai incident, the Health Director General said going back to one's hometown could increase the possibility of spreading the virus in other states later. Despite the number of vehicles on highways expected to drop due to interstate travel ban, Malaysian Fire and Rescue Department JBPM remains on standby for any possibility. To this end, JBPM has launched Ops Lancar in several locations nationwide to assist other agencies to ensure smooth traffic flow on the highways. Deputy Minister of Housing and Local Government Datuk Sri Dr. Ismail Abdul Muttalib said in conjunction with the Hari Raya celebrations, JBPM began its operations on the 21st of May at 7 main toll plazas nationwide. The locations are toll plazas in Juru, Hutan Kampung, Jalan Duta, Sungai Besi, Skudai, Bentong and Gambang.
Berikan perhatian, kita tidak mahu berlaku kemalangan-kemalangan yang di luar kawalan kita. Seperti mana berlaku baru-baru ini, ya. Jadi sebab itulah start daripada mungkin satu hari je ruang yang kita beri untuk mereka beraya, tetapi tidak bermakna kita melepaskan tanggungjawab itu. Jadi sebab kita masih ada lagi orang yang perlu diberikan perhatian termasuk yang terlibat dengan COVID-19 ini. Jadi 21 hingga 27 satu op apa dia panggil? Op lancar.
In Ops Lancar, JBPM will be cooperating with the police, civil defence force and the highway concessionaires. In order to prevent any interstate movement, the Negeri Sembilan Police Contingent have activated 18 roadblocks at the state's borders. Its police chief, Datuk Muhammad Mat Yusof, said so far 414 vehicles have been issued with compounds for travelling interstate without any permit from the police.
Kesiapsiagaan ataupun tindakan-tindakan yang kita laksanakan untuk menyekat pergerakan merentah negeri ini, kita telah dirikan sebanyak 18 sekatan jalan raya sepanjang tempoh PKPB ini di sempadan-sempadan keluar masuk Negeri Sembilan dengan negeri-negeri lain.
Datuk Muhammad also warned that the stern actions and compound await those who try to violate the CMCO SOPs. He added that the state police contingent will be conducting surveillance and patrol at the housing areas to ensure festive season's SOP are followed by the people. Still in Negeri Sembilan, Jelebu remains as a green zone as there is no new COVID-19 case recorded. District Officer Abdul Rahim Abdul Aziz said previously there were 2 COVID-19 patients in the district, but they have since recovered in the middle of April. According to Abdul Rahim, the citizens of Jelebu have been complying with the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO SOP, especially in public spaces.
Pada permulaan PKP terdapat beberapa pelanggaran orang awam lah yang terhadap SOP yang ditetapkan. Namun pelanggaran SOP tersebut boleh dikategorikan minor atau boleh dimaafkan lah, ya. Dan dari semasa ke semasa pematuhan orang awam terhadap SOP juga semakin baik, terutama di kawasan yang menjadi tumpuan awam lah seperti pasar awam dan pasar raya.
An RTM team went to Kuala Klawang in Jelebu and found that government agencies, business premises and public markets have been operating according to the SOP set by the government. Police arrested 2 men who attempted to flee after refusing to be inspected by the authority. Jasin Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Ms. Pani Hamdan said the suspects, aged 24 and 26, were arrested after a chase in Jasin, Melaka. Deputy Superintendent Ms. Pani said during the incident, police and RELA personnel were patrolling in the Bukit Senggeh Nyalas area before they came across a suspicious car parked by the roadside. As one of the policemen tried to inspect the occupants of the car, the suspects fled the scene by driving dangerously off the area. The patrol team chased the suspects before finally arresting them in Jasin. The suspects were detained under sections 186 and 279 of the Penal Code for obstructing a public servant from discharging duties and driving dangerously. Coming up next, 20% of SME entrepreneurs affected by COVID-19. About 20% of the 850,000 of small and medium enterprise SME entrepreneurs were affected by the COVID-19 infection. Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said the ministry will be providing incentive, advice and training services to reduce the financial implication for them.
Ni mungkin bukan dia berhenti daripada berniaga tau. Orang yang nadi dan jiwa dia berniaga tu dia akan terus berniaga. Mungkin dia tidak akan berniaga jenis yang dia buat sekarang. Mungkin dia akan berpindah kepada perniagaan jenis lain. Tetapi kita akan bimbing, kita beri latihan dan beri coaching, monitoring semua kita akan buat. Jadi implikasi keuangan tu juga kita akan lihat. Berdasarkan saya sendiri telah berjumpa dengan Menteri Keuangan untuk memohon tambahan peruntukan untuk membantu pihak PKS ni seluruh negara.
Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Junaidi explained that the ministry has reduced the application period to approve the fund application at the agencies under the ministry. This is to ease financial access for the entrepreneurs to help them run their business operation as usual. Venezuela's Supreme Court on Friday ordered pay television service DirecTV to restore services in the South American country. After owner AT&T Inc. said earlier this week it was shutting access due to US sanctions. DirecTV was the country's most popular television service, providing a range of foreign channels as alternatives to the country's beleaguered local television industry that has been battered by a hyperinflationary economic crisis. US sanctions meant to force President Nicolas Maduro from office prohibit companies from contracting with state agencies, but local Venezuelan laws require subscription services to carry channels run by the government. In a statement, the High Court also ordered the National Telecoms Regulator, with support from the armed forces, to take immediate possession of all the properties and assets belonging to the company that were necessary to provide its pay television services. Muslims across Asia have packed out markets as they prepare for the annual Aidilfitri holidays, ignoring COVID-19 guidelines even as infections rise. The celebration is preceded by a rush to buy new clothes, gifts and sweet treats for loved ones. Despite the deadly risk posed by the virus, shoppers in Turkey, Pakistan, Indonesia and Afghanistan pressed on. Turks pack up markets in Istanbul's busy shopping district Eminönü as they prepare for the annual Aidilfitri holiday.
Ya özel ihtiyaçlarımız vardı. Kahvemizi aldık. Ne bileyim biraz da kuru yemiş istemişlerdi, onu aldık. Başka bir ekstralar bir şeyler yok. Eski bayramlar yok vesaire yani. Çünkü ekonomi kendimize göre ayak uydurmak zorundayız.
Yani buradan adım atamayırdınız bu saatlerde. Gördüğünüz gibi bu sırada zaten pek fazla şeker koyan kimse yok. Virüsten dolayı. Millet artık lokum, çerez, çekirdek 4 gün boyunca evde çeyrek çıtlamakla geçecek.
This year, they will spend Aidilfitri at home after the government orders a 4-day lockdown in an effort to stem the spread of the coronavirus. More young people dying of COVID-19 in Brazil than other countries. Details in the foreign segment.
Everready is ready to use up to 4 years in storage.
Thank you, Daddy.
That's why life runs on Everready.
Welcome back. In Kano, the most popular city in the north of Nigeria, a religious police force known as the Hisbah Corps enforced sanitary measures during Friday prayers at the Hotoro Central Mosque. Locals attending the Friday prayers say that everyone is happy that prayers can take place as usual.
Babu wanda zai so ko ya ji daɗi a ce sallar juma'a ba ka samun damar yin ta, amma tun da yanayi ne na annoba da kuma yanayi yadda Allah ya kawo, to haka muka ɗau kaddara muka hakura muka zauna a gida, amma mun ji daɗi kwarai da gaske, kuma ni ma na ji daɗi a matsayina na musulmi da muka dawo sallar juma'a yanzu.
Nigeria's government on Monday extended a COVID-19 lockdown on the northern region of Kano after it became a hotspot for new infections. The head of the country's coronavirus task force, Boss Mustafa, said the lockdown in the economic hub, which includes Nigeria's second biggest city, would be prolonged for 2 weeks. The authorities will also start to impose precision lockdowns in any other areas that report a rapidly increasing number of cases when the need arises. The outbreak in Kano has become a major cause of concern after medics and residents last month began reporting a spike in deaths. Regional officials at first put the unexplained fatalities down to other ailments, but government investigators later said COVID-19 was suspected in most cases. Neighboring states to Kano have also begun reporting suspicious surges in death tolls that authorities are scrambling to investigate. Nigeria has confirmed 5,959 infections and 182 deaths from the COVID-19 pandemic across the country. Peru's Minister of Defense, Walter Martos Ruiz, on Thursday launched a new field hospital and a voluntary isolation center in Lambaréque to care for patients suffering mild COVID-19 symptoms, whilst locals receive rapid tests.
Hemos hecho un balance de cómo está la pandemia acá en Lambaréque. Afortunadamente hemos visto que en base al número de los fallecidos en la última semana y también de los infectados, la pandemia acá en Lambaréque está en descenso.
According to the South American country's health ministry's figures, Peru has become the second Latin American country after Brazil to reach 100,000 COVID-19 cases. The number of dead from COVID-19 has also passed 3,000, with only Brazil and Mexico having suffered more. Both cases and deaths have tripled since 30th of April. The dire statistics come even though Peru has been in lockdown for 9 weeks, paralyzing the economy. The vast majority of cases are in Lima and its port Callao, where 1/3 of the country's 32 million people live. Peru's health system is overwhelmed and teetering on the brink of collapse, with public hospitals facing drastic equipment shortages. Hospital staff protested in the streets on Wednesday demanding better safety equipment. According to the latest figures, Peru has 7,500 people receiving hospital treatment for COVID-19. More young people are dying of COVID-19 in Brazil than other countries. A trend driven partly by demographics, as the overall population is younger, but also by poverty and the need to work. The South American giant of 210 million people is the latest flashpoint in the COVID-19 pandemic, rapidly rising to third this week on the list of countries with the most infections. With more than 310,000 cases, it lags behind only the United States and Russia. Brazil's death toll, meanwhile, surged past 20,000 on Thursday. A closer look at the data raises questions about the widely held idea that COVID-19 is mainly dangerous for the elderly. Of Brazil's victims, 69% were aged 60 or older, compared with 95% in Spain and Italy. The disparity is partly driven by the age of the overall populace. Just 13.6% of Brazil's population is 60 or older, compared to 25% in Spain and 28% in Italy. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro's government warned on Friday that Brazil's national security would be at risk if investigators granted a request to seize the far-right leader's cell phone in an obstruction of justice investigation. The request to seize Bolsonaro's phone and that of his son Carlos was made by opposition parties in Congress, part of a probe into allegations by former Justice Minister Sergio Moro that the president tried to interfere in federal police investigations.
É a nossa hemorroida, é a nossa liberdade. Isso é uma verdade. O que esses caras fizeram com o vírus, esse bosta desse governador de São Paulo, esse estrume do Rio de Janeiro, entre outros, é exatamente isso.
The probe, which could see Bolsonaro put on trial or even impeached, comes as the president faces growing disapproval ratings 18 months into his term and criticism over his downplaying of the coronavirus pandemic, which has now claimed more than 20,000 lives in Brazil. Meanwhile, Brazilians bang on pots and pans in protest against President Jair Bolsonaro and his government after the release of a video in which Bolsonaro allegedly pressured former Justice Minister Sergio Moro to give him inside information on ongoing investigations. In sports, long-serving Utah Jazz coach Jerry Sloan dies. Jerry Sloan, who guided the Utah Jazz for 23 seasons during a Hall of Fame coaching career before retiring in 2011, died on Friday at the age of 78. Sloan, a two-time NBA All-Star who played 11 seasons as a guard before his epic coaching career, died of complications from Parkinson's disease and Lewy body dementia, which he had been fighting since at least 2015. Sloan, inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2009, was taken by the Baltimore Bullets with the 4th overall pick of the 1965 NBA draft and played one season for them before spending a decade with the Chicago Bulls, who retired number 4 jersey in 1978, an unprecedented move by the club. After a 2.5 season stint coaching the Bulls from 1979 to 82, Sloan began his epic tenure with the Jazz in 1988 and guided Utah into the playoffs for 15 consecutive seasons from 1989 to 2003. With Karl Malone and John Stockton as a superstar duo, the Jazz enjoyed their best seasons under Sloan in 1996 to 97 and 97 to 98, reaching the NBA Finals only to lose to Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls each time. Sloan finished his coaching career with the third most wins in NBA history and 7 division titles. His teams reached the playoffs 20 times, the longest tenured coach with one franchise of all major professional U.S. sports teams. When he retired during the 2010-11 campaign, Sloan was a stalwart for the Jazz, while there were 245 NBA head coaching changes among other clubs. Barcelona continued training in groups of 10 players on Friday morning in line with health protocols as La Liga takes another step towards the planned resumption of the COVID-19 hit season next month. Spanish clubs began training in groups of 10 players on Monday in line with health protocols as La Liga took another step towards the planned resumption of the season next month. Teams in the top 2 division in Spain returned to their training grounds earlier this month, with players initially working individually as part of Atletico Madrid are sure to be one of the clubs in Spain hoping the league season will be completed. With 11 La Liga games remaining, Atletico sit in 6th place, 1 point behind Real Sociedad in 4th. Spanish football authorities have already confirmed that should the season be cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the current places would be final. That would mean Atletico missing out on next season's Champions League for the first time in 7 years unless they win this year's competition, even when it is completed. However, Spain's top 2 professional leagues are taking big steps towards a return after clubs were given permission to resume group training this week. Atletico have wasted little time getting back to business as manager Diego Simón, complete with gloves and face masks, conducted a group training session at the club's training complex on Tuesday. When South Korea's domestic women's golf tour held its premier event last week without spectators because of the coronavirus pandemic, no fewer than 3 of the world's top 10 players took part. The country of 52 million people has a disproportionate share of the women's world golf rankings, providing 8 of the current top 20. In a demonstration of their prominence, Korean women have won at least one major every season since 2010, with COVID-19 cancellations perhaps the biggest threat to their run this year. The phenomenon, players and commentators say, is the result of several factors: driven parents, intense training, a highly competitive society, sponsorship money, and the shining example of 25-time LPGA winner Park Se-rin.
엄청 많이 있죠. 엄청 많이 있고, 왜냐면 그분이 어떻게 보면 개척자이신데 그분이 안 계셨더라면 저희가 그런 길이 있다는 것도 인지하지 못했을 가능성이 되게 크다고 생각해요.
Of those, one element is critical: the unstinting support and relentless encouragement of parents who wait for hours while children practice, shuttle them between venues and spend significant sums on coaching. And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, dozens perished after Pakistan International Airlines planes plunges into Karachi houses. News on 2 comes on at 7 this evening for more updates around the world. Till then, I'm Renee Fong. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant afternoon.